Welcome to Season 4 of the M-W Tactical Podcast. Sit back and enjoy the conversations of Rockstar Burst and myself, Michael Woodland, as we discuss the sport of shooting, goals, training, community matters, and everyday life. You are listening to the M-W Tactical Podcast. All right, good people, we're back at it again, and thank you for joining us for another installation of the M-W Tactical Podcast. This week's show is sponsored by Outdoor Dynamics. Outdoor Dynamics is a remanufacturing company that makes bullets for those who are in competition, training, or just plinking. Their logo is they pull the handle so you don't have to. So this week's show, once again, is sponsored by the good people from Outdoor Dynamics. Now, another case in point, my man John from Outdoor Dynamics sent me a box of bullets. And this weekend, well, the past weekend, I shot a competition match at Palmetto Gun Club in Charleston, South Carolina. And I used 100 rounds of the box of bullets that he gave me. So I still have a number of rounds left. So they actually held up in the match. So I'm a firm believer that if you order from Outdoor Dynamics, you will not be disappointed. So hit up outdoordynamics.net and see what all they have, from 40s to nons and the different names, the librarians. Those are the ones I'm going to concentrate on because I'm about to do a little bit of stuff and carry optics. But check out Outdoor Dynamics and see what they can do for you. All righty, so here we go. I didn't nag her this weekend because I think she just turned her phone off completely. And I actually got through tonight when I was like, we doing this? And she was like, yeah, why not? So obviously she ain't mad at me no more. So bringing her on, the co-host of the M-W Tactical Podcast, the beautiful, the one, the lady, Rockstar. What's going on with you there, Rockstar?
Oh, it's a chilly evening here in Wisconsin. It's like a whopping 38 degrees out, and it's kind of snowy-ish, rainy-ish outside. So I feel like winter is fully upon me at this point.
Man, I'm one of those type people. 70 is okay for me. I might walk out of the house with a short sleeve shirt on when it's 70. When it turns 69 degrees, I'm calling it is freezing. I'm telling you, I'm allergic to the cold. I'm allergic to it. Now, one thing before we get into any talking points, did you notice the change at the beginning of the show, the song? Had to change it up a little bit.
Oh yeah, keeping it fresh. I like it.
Yeah, we're going into 2022, so hopefully we can erase 2021. So go ahead and start off fresh in 2022. So we're gonna give everybody a little, preview of what's to come.
Yeah, I feel like we need to erase 2020 and 2021 because I feel like 2021 was just an extension of that. Ugh.
Well, look, I got this ink pen up right now. Imagine a little light right there. Where my shades at? Looking to the light. That's what we need. Some Men in Black action around here with a little memory eraser.
Oh, funny.
Another thing that we got going on with the M-W Tactical Podcast, obviously, you can listen to the podcast on various platforms. And you can go to YouTube and look at the podcast as well. So me and Rockstar, with us talking and the commercial breaks and all that. Now, the addition to this is you can now watch this podcast on Spotify. I thought that was so amazing. When I got that email, I was like, let's do it. So that's part of the reason why we changed up the music. So we got some new clothes on, so we got to get them new shoes also. Yeah. So and also I'm doing a new series on YouTube as well, whereas I'm gonna talk about the matches that I do. I'm gonna break it down and everything. So as I stated, this match in PGC, You have to watch the match breakdown, what's going to come out Thursday, because of the fact I'm declaring war on somebody. And I don't appreciate the antics that this person done to me, but you have to watch the match review to understand what I'm talking about and why I'm so mad right now. War is declared, but you'll get it when you watch that match review. So tell me, what's good with you? How was your weekend? And how was the work week for you? Because you are busy this time of the year.
Yeah, it's been really busy, mainly because I'm taking off the last 2 weeks of the year. So I've just had a ton of stuff that I'm trying to cram in. And obviously with holidays and Black Friday sales and just all of the things, trying to get everything kind of wrapped up before the new year starts, between budgeting and delivering plans to our executive leadership team, all the things that come with working a corporate America job. But it's been good. It was very productive last week, but it was crazy. I've been shipping out. One of the parts of my job that I really enjoy is I work a lot with influencers on different marketing campaigns. So I get to send out little packages of things that we want them to talk about from our product line and promote on our behalf. And I had a bunch of stuff to send out last week, which was fun. And it's cool to kind of just talk back and forth with them and hear what they're looking to do for different content ideas. So for video and for photos and what their captions might be and all of that good stuff. So it was really busy because I sent a lot of stuff out the door, but it was also, I'm excited to see what we get out of it. We had some really good influencers that basically said they wanted to work with us for this campaign. So I'm excited for the end product. Last week was crazy getting it done, but in theory, the end game will be really cool from what they're doing.
Is that the reason why you be avoiding me when I be calling you at work? Because
yes,
I be trying to get stuff to do, and you like, no, run the other way, run the other way.
I'm busy, y'all. I will call you after
work. Yeah, I'm just trying to get products so I can talk about, so I can be busy around here. I don't do nothing all day other than practice, talk smack to people. Yeah, so my week has been good. I've been doing some, this time of the year is when I do all my health checkups. So going into the new year, I want to make sure everything is good, so I'm not stressed out, by the time the summertime comes around, because you already know, like, say for instance, if you were to get something like cancer or some type of health issue that can hold you back in life a little bit, that's going to stress you out, going into the new year. And you might not necessarily need that stress. So normally I wait till like the end of the year to do all my health stuff. So I'm beating myself up now about to do that. So I was doing a lot of scheduling last week. This week is when all this stuff is going to take place. I ain't going to tell you what it is, but I'll let you know how it turns out next week when the show comes out. But outside of that, like I said, I haven't been doing anything. Just, looking at the matches I want to go ahead and tackle in 2022. And the PGC match was a last minute match for me because of the fact, with the weather, how the weather is taking place. Palmetto Gun Club in Charleston, South Carolina, if it's raining, whatever's going on, it was something with the irrigation. So if it's raining, they don't want the people out there to mess up the ground of, however it is with the irrigation. I'm not a landscaper in any type of way, but that was the one thing. And then when I got the word that, hey, the match is on, I was like, I'm in there. So I went ahead and signed up. And then too, because it was for Toys for Tots, I'm all about the kids. So, I was there 100%, but that was a fun match. But once again, Thursday, check out that match review and hear what I got to say about that match as well.
That's awesome. How did it go? I didn't even hear. I mean, I'm guessing that's a pretty well attended event just because there is the charity behind it.
Yeah. Here in this area, the one that I done a couple weeks ago in Columbia, I think that's the bigger one because it's a 2-day event, right? And the way Miss Linda breaks it down, she runs the Toys for Tots like it's a major match, so you sign up, you get to squad with whoever you want to squad with.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's a lie. you sign up, she squads you with whoever, unless you want to squad with somebody specifically. And if you put it in there, she'll squad you up. Because what she tries to do is, base people off of their shooting experience. So if you're someone who she knows, like, okay, you can teach these people, you can train these people, and you understand the rules, she tries to match it out so it's equal across the board. And you don't have like the super squad over here and they're like sitting there for 2 hours waiting to do another stage, or and all that. But that's the difference between the two. So that's why the one in Columbia is way bigger than any other one around here. But the one in Charleston, that was a fun match. Now I know my buddy Chance, he did a lot of stage designs there. I think it was him and his brother. But it was a few of them that I was like, okay, this right here is fun. Some of them I was just like, I don't know, but it was a lot of leaning on two of the stages, and I was like, somebody gonna break a knee taking these leans. But yeah, like I said, it was a fun match. It was a fun match. So yeah, I had a blast at that match.
Nice.
But I'm looking forward to the next one next year. So I think the Toys for Tots match is now going to be a battle, because I remember last year it was a lot of smack talking about who from like whatever area you from, that was the clique you claimed. So now it's like, okay, we gave the most toys, we donated the more money, we drove the further distance, so it's a lot of fun when you turn around and when you do it like that.
That's awesome.
But you know how we gonna do this. So I got 3 talking points, and I want to go ahead and bring up and get your view on it. Which one we've already spoken on briefly, but not too in depth. And I want to go ahead and do this after the commercial break, if you're cool with it. All right. So if everybody will, please stay in your seats. If you're in your vehicles, put your sunshades on. Turn the radios up. If it's raining, please slow down. Don't swerve off the road. But we will be right back. And here are a few words from our sponsors.
Mental health and guns. At Walk the Talk America, we are working with both the mental health community and the gun industry. Created by a gun industry veteran, Walk the Talk America seeks to raise awareness and create change through suicide prevention and firearm safety without legislation. We strive to eliminate the prejudice that firearms and mental health face. For more information and to support Walk the Talk America, please visit walkthetalkamerica.org.
What's up, good people? Thank you for taking the time and listening to the M-W Tactical Podcast. Please go visit the M-W Tactical store at www.m-wtactical.com/store and help support our efforts by purchasing a shirt or two. If you haven't done so, go follow us on Instagram and Facebook by searching for M-W Tactical.
Are you in the market to purchase your first or next firearm, but find the atmosphere of a gun store intimidating, crowded, or uninviting? There's a way for you to purchase the gun you want while avoiding the crowds, the gruff salesmen, and the marked up prices that come with a brick and mortar gun store. The process is called a transfer, where the purchase is made in an online store and sent to a federally licensed middleman called an FFL, who processes the paperwork and background check for a firearm purchase. CAE Transfers is the FFL with the lowest transfer cost in the Midlands at only $20 or $15 with the presentation of a South Carolina concealed weapons permit and $10 for repeat customers. If you live in Columbia, South Carolina or its surrounding areas, choose CAE Transfers as your FFL during checkout and let me help you complete your online gun purchase. You can find and follow CAE Transfers online at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram using @CAE Transfers. Thank you for your business, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Hey everyone, John from Outdoor Dynamics here. We're a remanufacturer of ammunition based in Kannapolis, North Carolina. We make everything from 9mm 115 grain to specialized 40 Smith & Wesson. So if you have anything from an open gun to just a standard Glock 19, feel free to reach out to us at outdoordynamics.net. or we're on Instagram and Facebook with Outdoor Dynamics. And we're always here for you. Happy to answer any questions you have.
JM4 Tactical has developed a state-of-the-art polymer holster that will quickly become your go-to holster. With high-quality Herman oak leather securely sewn to the interior of the molded outer bolt-on shell, your draw becomes silent and no more scratches up and down your firearm. When seconds count, you can rest assured that you will have the upper hand when you need it most. Whether you carry open or concealed, the Relic holster is available in 4 different models, fitting over hundreds of different style guns. The new reliable, easy, light, individual carry holster by JM4 Tactical. Order your Relic today at jm4tactical.com.
All right, good people, we're back at it again, and thank you for listening to the commercial break for the sponsors of this show. If you will, go ahead and pay them a visit and let them know that you heard about them from the M-W Tactical Podcast. Now, also, I got to give thanks to the people who listen to us from around the world. Maybe it's just because they're locked down in COVID. Maybe they just like listening to politics and firearms. I don't know, but I do appreciate whatever the mix and the flavor is that you're here with us. So once again, we do thank you. All right. So now, before the commercial break, we actually said there was 3 talking points we wanted to go ahead and talk about. One of these talking points there was a school shooting that took place not too long ago. And as you brought it up to me, the parents are possibly getting charged or have got charged. Now, once again, I didn't do any research on this topic, so I've heard about it. I've seen people post it on Instagram, but I didn't click on anything or watch it on the news or read anything in depth about it. So, but let's go ahead and dive into that. What's your take on this whole synopsis of events that's taken place since this school shooting?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting story. So it involves a 15-year-old boy named Ethan Crumley, and his parents are being charged with involuntary manslaughter for the school shooting. So it hasn't happened before. They're both being charged with 4 counts, both the mom and the dad. And there's some interesting dynamics in the story. So the prosecutor in that county, her name is Karen McDonald, and she is basically trying to, I don't actually know if she has a motive or if she's got like a specific angle that she's going for, but essentially she's trying to hold the parents accountable. So James and Jennifer Crumley, who are Ethan's parents. And there's a couple of things that are really interesting about this particular case. So the first one being that about a week, not even a week, it was like 3 or 4 days before the school shooting, James Crumley, who's Ethan's father, actually purchased the handgun that was used in the attack. So, I mean, this is just days after this weapon, this firearm was like, whoa, this is fast, right? It was just a few days after that, all of a sudden there's a school shooting using the weapon that was purchased. And it's interesting to kind of see that timeline. The other thing was that the handgun was stored in a nightstand. It wasn't locked up. It was easily accessible. There wasn't anyone really keeping an eye on it. It was just in an unlocked space. So there's a couple other things. So one, the dad, or sorry, not the dad, the son put a post on social media a few days before the shooting, basically saying that he had gotten the new gun. So whether or not dad purchased the handgun for the son. I'm not totally sure, or if it was just, the dad purchased the gun and then Ethan took these photos of it and posted it on social media. That part I don't know. Living at home with your parents, I'm sure, is different than being on your own and buying your own stuff. So I don't know the backstory on that. But I did think that was kind of interesting. Another point, so Ethan was in high school, this 15-year-old kid, and he had been writing these notes that basically were saying that he was going to cause harm to other students using a handgun. He drew some pictures of a handgun, of some bullets, and then of, assuming classmates or other kids being injured by the handgun. And he actually had written at the bottom of this note, the thoughts won't stop. One teacher saw that and she took photos and she basically told the administration what was going on. So the parents actually met with the school officials the morning that this happened about Ethan's actions and how they should pull him out of school and take him to counseling and make sure he's okay. But they didn't take him out of school that day. So more or less, the shooting happened. The dad heard about reports that there was a school shooting. He went home and first thing he did was to see if the handgun that he had purchased was in the nightstand. It wasn't there, and he knew that it was missing. And then that was the gun that was used. So this is kind of a rare instance. Parents aren't normally charged in a school shooting case. And then there's no current law in Michigan saying that parents need to keep their firearms secured from their children. So there's not a law that's officially on the books here. So it'll be interesting just from a legal standpoint to see kind of how that plays out. But right now, I mean, Ethan, the kid, he's got a bunch of charges against him and he's being held without bond currently. So that's kind of the high level scoop of what's going on in the story. And yeah, I think there's a lot of things that kind of stand out to me. So I don't know, where do you want me to start?
Wow, let's start off with the charges on Ethan. You said that was his name, right? Ethan?
Yeah, Ethan. So he's 15. I don't know. It said he's facing 24 charges. I don't know what they all are. I'm guessing probably having a hand, murder, right. Manslaughter. Probably. I don't think you can have a handgun
on school
legally. Right. Yeah. That
handling it underage. Yeah, so they just trumped the charges up on him. So
pretty much every law that he could have broken, I'm sure he broke.
Yeah. All right. So now from that standpoint, all right, so they got him. How many people were murdered, or did they say?
I don't know. Off the top. I can look. I can dig that up.
The only thing I've seen as far as a video of the school shooting, I guess it was some student had his cell phone in the class and they heard the shooting, or they stood up and they jumped out of a window and ran to another building on the school property or something like that. I've seen that, and it was on somebody's Facebook page, of course. Yeah. But it says something along the lines of, did they know the shooting was going to happen before it took place? So I don't know if they was trying to insinuate like he was saying it a couple days prior to the school shooting, or if they knew something wasn't right that day and everybody was prepared,
Right.
Now,
so it looks like 3 died. 3 people died and 8 were injured.
So Wow. So I don't know what it is there, but depending on, let's base it off of your state, wherever you are. All right. If somebody was to get murdered, how much time would they get per person, or just for one person, and then multiply that by the 3? But now you said they're going to charge the parents with manslaughter.
Manslaughter, involuntary, so not voluntary, but involuntary manslaughter.
But still, that's going to ruin their life either which way you look at it, because
Yeah.
you already know anytime you go to court behind a firearm, you already know that trial is going to be 100,000 plus.
Yeah.
You know, now let's back it up a little bit. I don't agree with having a firearm in your home, but you don't have the proper means of securing that firearm. I think that's irresponsible
Yep.
on behalf of the parent, knowing that a child was in the house, right?
Yep.
The same thing if you didn't have a child in the house. What if somebody broke into the house, or somebody came to visit and they had children, they found it, start playing with it, and they got hurt behind it? So I don't know what their financial situation is, but a lot of people don't have the means to get a big safe. You know, would a little safe that you can put inside your nightstand been sufficient for this matter? But who's to say that the kid wouldn't have taken that out and somehow broke into it with a screwdriver and a hammer, something like that, you know, a hacksaw or something. But will that be a talking point when they go to court also? Maintaining that firearm in the home, because obviously you know what's going to be said. Why'd you buy the firearm? Because crime is on the rise in that area, more than likely. I bought it to protect my family. But now your child ran out and did some harm, you know, to other people with it.
Yeah.
It's going to be touchy, because this is something that a lot of people always said. If a child does something like this, hold the parents accountable. And
Yeah.
then, of course, the responsibility is going to be taught, because as I told you in an earlier conversation, when you were saying like how that kind of shocked you that they was charging the parents. And for me, I'm more like, yeah, that's how I look at it. That's how it should have been, right? Because it makes sense to me, because in the military, that standard is already in place.
Mm-hmm.
But from the standpoint being, if I'm a military member and I'm married and I got children, I'm responsible for my family's actions on post and off post, of course. Now, if my family does something unruly against the laws, we're getting kicked off of post, right? That violates the terms for living on post. So you
Right.
got to, you know, get a residence off of post, you know. So that's how I kind of related that, you know. So yeah, the child does something, yeah, hold the parents accountable, you know. But now in this instance, listening to everything you said tonight, if we hold the parents accountable for that firearm, are we going to hold the school and the staff responsible for not doing their part for the safety of other people by finding the warning signs and not reacting to them?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to think about, because on one hand they knew, right? The teacher reported the incident. She had taken photos of the note. The note was found saying, you know, the note was found with the sketches basically showing that he wanted to hurt people with a firearm. He had basically, he cried out for help. He said, "The thoughts won't stop. Please help me." I mean, that's a pretty bold thing to say. So they had that. Now the problem is, right, like, so you have that information, so what do you do? One, what do you do with it? And two, how quickly can you act on it, right? Because you need to sort of have this, I don't know, I mean, I feel like there needs to be some sort of discussion and dialogue with the parent. And it sounds like they came in pretty quickly. They came in, The school asked them to pull him out within 48 hours. I would have just taken him out that day. I don't know what they did. They didn't say like why didn't they pull him? Maybe just take him out of school for that day, have a conversation with the administration as far as taking a sick day or something like that, just to get him out of school and kind of have that conversation and make sure that he is doing okay. But I don't think a lot of that stuff is in place with schools. And I know a lot of schools, if you do skip school, you can hold for it. I don't know what kind of things the school could have put in place or could have, you know what I mean? Like, what would have had to have already been on the book for them to say, hey, this was an incident that happens. We need to make sure that any student that says they're going to harm people has to stay home for X amount of days and isn't penalized or stuff like that. But I don't think any of that stuff exists currently on the books.
So I'm sitting right here. I just happened to open it up and read on this a little bit. And what I'm finding was published on December 3rd. And this is from the news source of the New York Times. So I know how some people are against the New York Times when they report stuff. But this article that I'm reading by Jack Healy states that the father bought the firearm for the son as an early gift, Christmas gift.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they clarified that it was a 9mm 6-hour handgun. Ethan called it his new beauty. And I guess the mom said, you're not old enough to have it, but you just got to learn how to use it and not get caught. So if all this is true testimony coming out and going to court, that's an easy sealed case right there. So parents will get charged.
Yeah.
Pretty sad how it goes when we look at what's going on in today's society. But I don't know this family. I don't know anything about that area. But I do know when I was younger, my dad talked to me about firearms, but he started when I was about 8 years old. Right. And of course, the 4 firearm safety rules, the golden rules, universal rules, were not as etched in stone as they are today. But, my father would say stuff to me, like, hey, don't you ever walk out of the house with a firearm and point it at somebody trying to scare them, because if you do that, they're going to come back, they're going to point a firearm at you. He also stated, like, okay, if I'm not at home and you happen to see the gun, because we didn't have a safe in the house, but I didn't never go pillaging around his room either, because I knew he kept it in his room. I just didn't know where. But I never pillaged around his room, but he also stated, if you ever see the firearm in the house, unless you need to use it, don't touch it unless I'm with you and I tell you to touch it. Okay, cool. Never touched it, because I never seen it either, because he didn't like leave it on the kitchen table any given time or anything like that. Now, my dad was very responsible. He was a very responsible person when it came to firearms. And even like with, going to shoot with him and my uncle, all that was always broken down to me. But now you also got to remember how it was for us, growing up, in the inner city and all that. But not one time have I ever picked up a firearm and tried to use it on somebody because you beat me in jonesing on other kids. Or I got so mad at another kid playing basketball, I went and got a gun. It wasn't that serious, But the caliber of parents from then to now and the laws associated with how you raise your children, like, there's all this stuff by design to box you into a corner to get to where we are today. And where will that go moving forward? Right. So like I said, I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, but don't fault me for the way I think. Yeah. But I'm curious to see how this trial is going to go as well, moving forward. Because as you stated, this is an interesting dynamic, because I've heard of little children coming across a firearm, under the age of 5, thinking it's a toy, and then they hurt themselves or hurt somebody else. And I would think the parents would have got charged with that. I never read anything or heard or seen anything that was like the mom or the dad got charged with that because the child hurt somebody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Did they get a fine? Did they get the firearm confiscated from them? Did somebody get arrested? I don't know. But I've heard plenty of stories about that situation taking place. So this right here will be something I go ahead and start looking at a little bit more, because I'm interested to see how this is going to play out in the court system as well.
Yeah. It's just it'll be interesting. I just think it's something to kind of keep an eye on, because there's just a lot of different things at play that I don't know how they're going to shake it out in court. So it's one that I think is worth following.
Correct. Yeah, I'm curious to know myself. But let's jump into a quick commercial break and come back and let's talk about 2 more topics. And the 2 topics I want to go ahead and tackle is the caliber of a firearms trainer, and I got a new firearm. So let's go ahead and let's dive into this quick commercial break and let the sponsors pay some of these bills we got. So everybody will, please stay in your seats. And here are a few words from our sponsors.
Are you in the market to purchase your first or next firearm, but find the atmosphere of a gun store intimidating, crowded, or uninviting? There's a way for you to purchase the gun you want while avoiding the crowds, the gruff salesmen, and the marked up prices that come with a brick and mortar gun store. The process is called a transfer, where the purchase is made at an online store and sent to a federally licensed middleman called an FFL, who processes the paperwork and background check for a firearm purchase. CAE Transfers is the FFL with the lowest transfer cost in the Midlands at only $20 or $15 with the presentation of a South Carolina concealed weapons permit and $10 for repeat customers. If you live in Columbia, South Carolina or its surrounding areas, choose CAE Transfers as your FFL during checkout and let me help you complete your online gun purchase. You can find and follow CAE Transfers online at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram using @CAE Transfers. Thank you for your business, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Mental health and guns. At Walk the Talk America, we are working with both the mental health community and the gun industry. Created by a gun industry veteran, Walk the Talk America seeks to raise awareness and create change through suicide prevention and firearm safety without legislation. We strive to eliminate the prejudice that firearms and mental health face. For more information and to support Walk the Talk America, please visit walkthetalkamerica.org.
Hey, this is Brian Conley at Hunters HD Gold. If you've never tried Hunters HD Gold, then I challenge you to find me at a match next year. Go to the website under scheduled events, find out where I'm going to be. Come meet me in person and demo a pair for yourself. Find out why shooters across the United States are changing to Hunters HD Gold to get 43% more light to their eyes, better contrast, eyes that are not fatigued at the end of the day based on the colors that we use, and find out the real meaning of why they change so you don't have to. So check us out on our website, huntershdgold.com, and I look forward to seeing you at the range soon.
JM4 Tactical has developed a state-of-the-art polymer holster that will quickly become your go-to holster. With high-quality Herman oak leather securely sewn to the interior of the molded outer Bolteron shell, your draw becomes silent and no more scratches up and down your firearm. When seconds count, you can rest assured that you will have the upper hand when you need it most. Whether you carry open or concealed, the Relic holster is available in 4 different models, fitting over hundreds of different style guns. The new reliable, easy, light, individual carry holster by JM4 Tactical. Order your Relic today at jm4tactical.com.
Hey everyone, John from Outdoor Dynamics here. We're a remanufacturer of ammunition based in Kannapolis, North Carolina. We make everything from 9mm 115 grain to specialized 40 Smith & Wesson. So if you have anything from an open gun to just a standard Glock 19, feel free to reach out to us at outdoordynamics.net, or we're on Instagram and Facebook with outdoor.dynamics. And we're always here for you. Happy to answer any questions you have.
All right, good people. We're back at it again. And thank you for coming back after that commercial break. We just had an interesting conversation, in my opinion, in regards to that school shooting that's taken place not too long ago, and finding out that the parents might get charged or have been charged with that firearm that the child used at the school shooting. So, prayers to the families and that lost, their child at that school. And also heard that it was a football student that tackled somebody or something like that. Or was that a different school shooting? Or am I getting two stories mixed up? I'm lost.
I think that was the same kid, the kid who tackled, I think he died, the kid that stopped him.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's sad.
I
Well,
think.
like I said,
Yeah, but I don't.
regardless of the age, there is always an act of heroism amongst all of us.
Yeah.
So if that was the situation, like I said, I'm going to dive into it a little bit more, and I'll clarify what I found next week in next week's show. But that's still sad to hear that this tragedy is taking place, in our system of how we live and how we are allowing this to take place. Taking guns away ain't gonna correct it. That's the first thing. It ain't gonna stop it. So it's sad. It's still sad. But let's retouch on that either next week or the week after. But let's move on to I want to talk with you about the caliber of trainers out here. So I'm a big advocate of always saying on social media, if you go get firearms training, make sure it's from a reputable firearms instructor. All right. So our buddy, my buddy, because I'm actually called Troll Patrol on Kevin Dixie, because I will troll the mess out of him when he started getting smart with me. And when he and I was talking, and this was at one event when we was at either SHOT Show or NRA show, and however the conversation went, his reply to me was that person was in the military. And I stated to him, hey, the military is just like the civilian sector. You have some people who are pencil pushers. You have some people who are medical. You have some people who are food services. And then you have some people in the supply chain. And you just have a bunch of jobs in the military. Depending on what branch you go into, it might be more jobs or less jobs. But the military is the military, because, all the forces, work together. Now, as I expressed to him, depending on your MOS is going to determine how often you go to the range. So by me being infantry, man, it seemed like we went to the range every week practically. We wasn't in the field, we was at the range. So there was no questions about infantry, getting the firearms training, at least the units that I was in. Now, somebody who always claims, hey, I was in the military, that doesn't necessarily mean they know what they're doing with that firearm. And this was a conversation I had with SLED here in South Carolina, which SLED stands for the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. And when you get your CWP, it falls under that division. And I had a conversation with some of the people who actually push stuff through SLED. And the one thing I didn't agree with was being in the military, the way it's worded is you don't have to sit through the class. You just pay your money and you can just do the shooting portion, and then you get a CWP in the mail, which I didn't agree with, because as I stated, if this person doesn't know how to shoot or handle this firearm, they are endangering everybody now, not just themselves. And there was a few more things we talked about that I'm not going to bring up in this discussion. But I just wanted to get your take on the caliber of a firearm instructor. If you were to get somebody or look for somebody who was an instructor, what is the criteria that you look for outside of them just saying, hey, I'm an instructor?
Yeah, I think like finding what their credentials are. I mean, who did they get their training through? Are they licensed through anyone? What insurance are they carrying? How long have they been training and for? I'd probably ask for recommendations, like other people that they have coached along the way. And also just somebody that I'd want to work with, because there's obviously different kinds of instructors out there. So like, I'm not a competition shooter, so I wouldn't necessarily want to be training with somebody who was helping you get better for a match or a competition. I'd probably want to train with someone who is more focused on self-defense, home defense, in that ballpark, right? Trying to think of like what other things I would want in someone. And I guess really just making sure that they're legit. I mean, now you can pretty much look up everybody on the internet, on their website, see who they work with, what's their social media story, what kind of content are they posting. So there's obviously people who I know that I have trained with, that I would train with again, that I do trust because I have physically been out there learning things with them, right? So I think having done that, and even before I kind of got connected into this group of people that I shoot with now and that are friends and associates, one of the first gentlemen that trained me a couple of years ago, I mean, he's very well trained. He's former military. He's, in his 50s. He's been training basically since the military. He's very professional. He's very just, I don't know. I mean, just like by the book, and really just sort of went through the fundamentals and the basics and the safety components, and what to do if you ever got in a situation where you would have to use your firearm, and what kind of insurance you should carry. So there was just a lot of things that he kind of laid out right off the bat that I was like, yeah, this guy. And like, even before we trained together, he sent me links to people that he had trained with and their credentials, and just kind of like got his backstory. So that was like a big, kind of when I was vetting him to see if it was someone that I wanted to train with. There's just a lot of, I guess, questions that I had, but he really did a good job of answering those and just making me feel comfortable that, we could train. And I went to a range very he's like, oh no, we're going to shoot at this range and this stuff. So it was just like, I just felt very comfortable through the whole process. So that was big for me. And yeah, I mean, don't ever be afraid to just ask other people in your circle, or it's pretty easy to find on social media. If you go to someone's Instagram page, like look at their followers and ask their followers if they know this person, if they've worked with this person, if they've been to the range with this person. So there's obviously there's a lot of stuff you have to do on your end to do due diligence, but don't be afraid to ask those questions and really kind of be be protecting yourself as well.
Right. Now, I know for me, shooting competition, the only reason I shoot competition, for one, it is addictive to me, at least. It is challenging, and it is something that is close to what I was doing in the military, not the competition standpoint, but the training aspect of it. And some people do look at competition and shooting as training for a possible real world situation. Now, the one thing I don't agree with a lot of instructors, they do a fabulous job instructing on the range, but they don't break it down to the real life situation, right? Because, hey, yes, you hit the mark. I told you to aim at that dot on the target. You hit the dot, or you was close, but now we're just going to work to get you there a little bit closer. I mean, when you first start, that's one thing. But now if we're talking self-defense and everything, okay, you got to remember, you have to come up with something that's going to induce some form of stress once the person actually understands handling the firearm. They can actually physically think, keep it in a safe direction and everything. if an attack happens on you, you're not going to be standing in one spot. That's why you always hear people say, get off of the X. This is why I'm a firm believer in training with other instructors.
Mhm.
You know, even when I shoot competition, there's a group of guys that I specifically like to shoot with, right? Just like majority of everybody else who shoots competition. And the group that I like to shoot with is called the Taco Squad, right? Because of the fact after we finish shooting a match, we normally go to a Mexican restaurant and everybody pretty much gets some form of a taco, you know? So yes, it's a real
Really
thing. Yeah, this is a real thing. But
I love it.
yeah, so I caught myself getting complacent with the guys. And it's the same thing, like I caught myself in jiu-jitsu. So when I would go to jiu-jitsu, I'm always training with the same people. I'm not necessarily learning the techniques, but I'm learning how to beat somebody because of everybody has their favorite move, or, you know, they might be stronger in one thing. So I need to keep them away from sweeping my legs and all this and that. So the same thing with shooting. And I've always said, hey, I want to start shooting with other people because I feel I shoot better if I'm on a squad with somebody who I don't know. But if I'm with somebody who I'm shooting with all the time, I might get a little complacent, you know? So, and every now and then, you know, I venture out, but then I always come back and then I venture back out again, you know? So that's what I like to do with training as well, you know? So even though I shoot competition every weekend, okay, even if I'm talking to somebody, I might forget something or something, I might overlook something or took it for granted that you should have known that you possibly did not know, you know?
Yeah.
So, but that's why I like to go to at least 4 different people every year, you know, just to get a refresher, you know, and certain people that I do know, like for instance, and this was a friend of mine. So I had an instructor come to this area to give a class. And this person today is calling himself an instructor. He's on social media, all this and that. And this is the comment he made to me that, hey, when you go to that class, I want you to come back and teach me what they taught you in that class. And I'm sitting there like, dude, I want you to replay that to somebody else and really hear how that sounds, right? Really think about what you're saying right there, right? What I get out of a class might not be what you get out of a class. So that doesn't make any sense to me, you know? So this is the same person I've been talking with years over years about different things within shooting. And I believe he has the ability to become a great instructor. I just think he's just not investing in himself. Right. But I can say the same thing day in, day out. And I think it just goes over the head. But if somebody else was to say the same thing to him, I think it would hit home a little bit harder. You know? So and I think that's another thing that a lot of instructors have to do is invest in themselves. Because since this pandemic happened, I can tell you around here in Columbia, South Carolina, there was an influx of firearm instructors popping up. You know, I had somebody call me because, like, for instance, you take the CWP course here in South Carolina, it has to be at least 6 hours. This was a couple phone calls, not just one phone call. This was a couple phone calls. How long is your class? Right. And I tell them, hey, by South Carolina law, it has to be at least 6 hours. It could go over because there's a lot of information that they require you to know. So you're not doing nothing like 2 hours, hour and a half. Dude, you're not going to even scratch the surface with an hour of training with the South Carolina criteria. All right, I'll call you back. Hang up. That was like the last call. That was the call that stood out the most to me. So I was like, there's an instructor out here doing that, obviously for the money, but you got to really understand, like, you're teaching something that somebody's life is going to be altered if they do use that tool in a moment of self-defense. Because if you say the wrong thing and, well, my instructor said, I guess the officer gonna be like, well, the law is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
So yeah, so you like pretty much screwed yourself. So you have to invest in yourself, and the payout is going to come back. So whatever you give, you're going to get back. It's just a matter of how you generate it, you know. So invest in yourself if you're looking to become an instructor. And don't hustle people. Be honest with people. If you don't know, just say, hey, I don't know, but let's research this, you know, answer together so I can get educated. I mean, I've done that plenty of times. Somebody hit me with a question, I'll be like, man, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer either, but I don't know all the laws here in South Carolina. So let's do the research together. I'll make a phone call, or we'll look it up and try to decipher. If I can't figure it out, I got a lawyer buddy. I'll hit him up, ask a question or two, and he'll break it down and be like, okay, that makes sense. And then, you know, we go back and we talk about it and we learning together. Right? I'm not too prideful to do anything like that, but I tell people, hey, look, I'm human just like you human. You know, I wake up, my knees hurt. I put my pants on the same way you do, one leg at a time, unless I roll back on the bed and do both legs at the same time. You know, but like I said, it's just everybody has their criteria. But I think a lot of new people who are getting into firearm training, a lot of people were misled. I've came across a lot of people, whereas like one female didn't even know how to put the magazine in her firearm. Didn't know how to load bullets into the magazine. And she stated, like the instructor just said, just do this and this and you'll be good, which was just pay the money, sign right here, and then go to the range. He did all the work. She couldn't even pull the trigger, you know? And then what about a student that comes to you and they're very fashion conscious? How do you actually tell them without offending them, hey, you got to clip your fingernails? You know, or what about the guys that come to the class, you know, the pants too tight. They can't stretch their legs out if they got to run. You know, your boots untied if you're wearing any form of a boot, and the boot just flopping around on your foot if you have to get away, right? You know, just kind of waking people up a little bit to the situation. And I just think a lot of instructors are not taking the tone of being an instructor serious, right? Because the impact that can come forth from telling somebody the wrong information, now they're jacked up. Of course, you're going to be called to court also, especially if that person did some form of a shooting, if you was an instructor, you know. So, but have you ever put any thought or desire into possibly becoming an instructor?
So if I do, I actually have like a side coaching business for marketing. That's like my real passion. I like teaching people how to make money and take control of their lives. So I would actually love to be like a consultant for people who want to be firearms instructors and help them put together, hey, here's how you create a funnel, here's how you create a website, here's how you create your social media presence, here's the people that you should get in touch with if you need to get insurance, all these things. Like that's like where my passion would be. I don't know. I mean, could I be a firearms instructor? Maybe. I feel like I'd be good. I don't know. Pretty patient person, and I coached soccer when I was younger, and I taught some lessons for like 7 years, so like I've definitely taught in the past, but I would rather be on the marketing side running that kind of business than an actual instructor business, if that makes sense.
I think a lot of females, personally, I think a female will be a better instructor over a male. Now, not taking anything away from the male, because you have a lot of guys out there who have patience, who have the ability to talk and break things down. But I just think a female just naturally has that ability. You know, like they just think about it totally from a different angle than a man does, because we already know a lot of times a man let his ego comes into place. You know, whereas they'll say something like, oh, I used to be in the police force, or, you know, I did this in the military, you know, okay, but let's talk about today. I'm talking about today, where, you know, a female doesn't do that. Whereas, Like I've heard Jera say this one time to somebody, like, okay, I understand your history, but let's learn a new way of teaching this.
Yeah.
Right. And pretty much what she just told the guy, like, look, man, shelf that outdated information, but let's talk about it right now. It's still going to be the same thing, but let's renew some things, because some things might have changed from the technology of the tool,
Right.
And I thought that was, I gave her kudos for that, not, to her face, like clapping, like, yeah, you did a great job, But when I heard that, I was just like, man, she handled that like a champ. Whereas, like a lot of times when people say stuff like that, they expect you to back off of them. Like, okay, well, you're a little bit more experienced than I am, so you have a great day. So I don't do that. Like somebody say something to me, I'll just look at them and be like, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And I'll tell them straight up, like, man, you know what? I overlooked that. As much as I do shooting, I just took a lot of stuff for granted now, that because I do it all the time, And sometimes you just need that.
Yeah.
Somebody to hit the brakes and throw it in reverse a little bit so you can continue to drive forward. So
for sure.
Yeah. So I just want to get that message out. The caliber of the trainers that's out here, if you're not already doing it, invest in yourself. The payout will be better than what you think it would be, right? And it ain't necessarily just getting a certificate to say you can instruct. Give some instructions to friends, or a complete stranger. For instance, I got a new camera. I just walk up to somebody and be like, yeah, man, you mind if I record your car, or let me record you? I got this idea in my mind. I just want to get it out of my head. All right, just play around with it. Worst they can tell you is no, but no never hurt nobody either.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Right.
Yeah. And, not to beat that topic up anymore, but the last thing I want to talk about is I was walking around the house singing the Jay-Z or the Nas version, depending on which was your favorite song when they had that beef, uh-oh, I got myself a gun. So I ended up getting a new firearm. All right. So my buddy, Taryn Butler, from Taryn Tactical, sent me Glock 35. I don't want to show it on camera because I know on YouTube you can get away with that. Well, I don't know about Spotify, so I'm just going to reserve that. But stay tuned for next week. There will be pictures and possibly a product review video coming out about this Glock 35 as well. Now, I haven't shot it yet. So I got it, but I've been so busy, ripping and running, I'm still playing catch up. So, but like I said, I got a new gun, and if you will, you can go on to American Gun Chick's page, whereas I was at the range with her when she got her Glock. I don't know which model it was. And I think I just lost it. You there? You there? Okay, it just lost your screen. All right. Yeah, I can hear you. I can still hear you. There you go. So American Gun Chick, when she got her Glock, I don't know what model it was because I don't understand Glock's numbers. But then again, I never really studied Glocks like that either. So only reason I know mine is the 35 because the way I look at it, +5 give me 40. That's how I know it's a 40 caliber. So but when she got hers was a 9mm, and she actually had the red dot on it. And we went to the range and we shot it. So if you go to American Gun Chick's YouTube page and look up that video, and you'll see me on that video talking about that firearm with her, the one that she has. So I'm going to actually do one here in the next week or so and put that one out as well.
Nice.
Yeah, so a little early Christmas present, and made me smile. But I think it's beautiful though. It is beautiful though. What I'm saying? And I'm not even a Glock fan. But I did have to call my buddy. Well, I didn't call him, I texted him. And I owed him $5. because when I was in the military, my buddy, who I call Sandbag, his name is Jason. I'm not going to say his last name because he didn't give me permission to do all this online. I told him in conversation, man, I would never own a Glock. I would never go out and buy a Glock. Look what happened. I ended up getting a Glock. So I was like, I'm a man of my word. So I actually ended up sending him a text and was like, yo, dude, I owe you $5. He wrote me back like, you don't owe me no money. What's going on? Like that. And I was like, sent the picture. He was like, oh man, if you don't want that, go ahead and send that my way. And I was like, no, I'm keeping this. So my man Sandbag, I had to give him $5 next time I see him. So, but that's everything that's going on with me. So, like I said, changed up a few things, with the show, the music, of course, coming into it. And doing another series, doing the match review series. So I'm finding that pretty interesting. And then outside of that, just waiting on 2022 to get here so we can actually start off a new year, and hopefully it's better for the new year overall.
Yes.
All right. So if everybody will, if this is your first time listening to the M-W Tactical Podcast, head on over to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Give us a follow, like, subscribe, hit the bell, everything else, so you can stay informed of what we have going on. So once again, if you're on YouTube and Facebook, look me up at M-W Tactical. And if you have Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Pinterest, do a lookup for at M_W Tactical. And then you can find all the social media platforms that we just talked about by also visiting www.m-wtactical.com, and everything is linked together as well. So of course, if you want to go ahead and follow the lovely Rockstar, you can do so by
find me on Instagram at rockstarburst, BERST. That is my preferred platform. I'm on there the most. I'm pretty active on my messaging, so I don't post a lot on my actual feed, but I post a lot of stories, and I have a whole little slew of internet friends that I connect with on a pretty regular basis. So feel free to find me on there.
That's it right there. So until next week, come on back and we will continue having more interesting conversations. And then next week, you might actually hear me actually say the person who I'm declaring war on, because I'm not going to tolerate the antics that was taking place this weekend that happened at Palmetto Guns Club in Charleston, South Carolina. So either wait till Thursday or hear what I got to say next week's podcast. But until then, everyone keep shooting, keep practicing, and have fun. Y'all take care now.